The Paper Moon, a local retailer, has recently brought to life one of its most creative ideas, the Designer Challenge. The Designer Challenge gathers local fashion designers to compete against one another for a grand prize. Phil and Laura Romero
Well, the
explain how the
idea for the
Designer
Designer
Challenge began.
Challenge came up, last spring. Um, and one of the things we've been really promoting here at Paper Moon is local people. We started with cards because we're paper, and pretty soon we got this reputation for selling local art. So we had lots of artists come in, whether it was art or jewelry or handbags, and we started looking around the store and realized that we had locals represented in every single part of the store except for clothing. And I thought that was silly. Why shouldn't we have clothing? But really nobody was coming to us with clothing. And so we decided to up the ante. And with the help of there's a team of three of us. It's Philip and me and our marketing gal, Ann Armbruster. And we sat back here and created the Designer Challenge. So yeah.
Laura explains how the challenge was promoted and what the turnout was.
And we started it in June of this year, and basically only promoted it through social media, and we had a short TV commercial, and we just kind of reached out and got 15 contestants.
Ellie, one of the competitors, describes how she heard of the challenge and how she got her friend to model her design.
A coworker of mine came across it online, and I love paper moon. It's a really cute boutique, so that's kind of what it is. So as soon as we heard that, we didn't really know much about it, other than the fact that it was going to be a designer's challenge, and we both sew, so we just decided to find out more.
I heard about it through a Facebook message from my friend Ellie. She's like, hey, are you available September 8th? And I'm like, I will be. I'll get that day off for you. She's like, okay, good, because you're going to be my model for this designer challenge. I was like, what is this designer challenge? What are you talking about? She's like, it's for Paper Moon, and they're doing like a bunch of like amateur designers from the city, just from everywhere, and they just wanted to do like a local competition. Whoever gets like the best design gets their design sold at Paper Moon.
Aside from competition, Phil and Laura hope that this will also be a learning experience to help build up the designer's business know-how.
So the local jewelry sits right next to the national company,
Right.
and has to compete. I mean, being designed locally is a small advantage, but if the customer doesn't like it. So it's kind of a training process for people these local artists to be more than just a vending fair. To actually have to come up with a marketing plan and doing it and compete against the national companies. And so the Designer Challenge is that with the clothing companies. A lot of these younger people will probably move to the big city without any experience of constructive criticism or being judged at all. And when you go to the big city, it's dog eat dog, and maybe they can get a little bit of what it's going to be like when they try to go to the next step.
Yeah.
Laura describes the grand prize, one designed to reward the winner as well as give them business experience.
But the winner who wins the votes gets a free Viking sewing machine, which has been, we got a really good deal on from Sierra Sewing Center here in town. And they gave us a good discount on it. So we bought that, and then we are flying them down to the Magic Vegas fashion mecca show. It's the biggest fashion buying show in the world, I think.
Yeah.
And so we go at least once a year, sometimes twice. So we are taking the finalists down there with us for an all expenses paid trip to see what people like them are doing. All the big boys are down there, all the big companies. But then there are also all these other sub shows where there's a single person who's making their own clothes, who's designing their own clothes and selling their own clothes and answering the phones and shipping their own clothes to people all over the country. And so they'll be able to kind of hook up with other people who have just gotten on their feet and started selling.
You're taking that very next step.
Giving back to the community is very important to Phil and Laura. Laura explains how the Designer Challenge will give back as well as provide experience and skills.
One of the reasons that I get up every day is because we live in this great community, and I have gotten a lot from this community. I am still in business in spite of the recession, and we just, as humans, want to kind of give back. And sometimes we can give money, sometimes we can give volunteer time, but this is a really awesome way and creative way to give back to, very specifically, to people in this community that may not have other resources. You know, I think it's a real reciprocal thing.
And also experience. I mean, especially in the designer challenge, especially in the clothing too. So many times Laura and I have had friends, employees who've gone who are really skilled at what they do, but they go to the big city and they're just overwhelmed by the competition. They get, it's really hard in Reno. You know, you kind of shelter that in Reno, and you go there, and they're just as good as those people are, if not better. And it's just they just had no experience in it.
Designer Ellie in Manila, her model, hope that the Designer Challenge benefits the community as well as promote new art in the Reno area.
Well, I think that Reno is an artsy place. I don't know that it's a fashion-driven place, but fashion is art, and I think it all goes hand in hand. It'll feed off of other art forms and become something that we can all look to.
It gives people an outlet for them to like find new ways of not new ways of fashion, just say like new outlets of fashion per se. It will give people the chance to explore a little bit and explore different designers, local designers for that matter, in Reno, just to check them out, see what they can do.
Phil and Laura want the Designer Challenge to give feedback and experience to all the contestants, as well as the ability to take the next step in their designer dreams. Being the only competition of its kind here in Reno, they hope all competitors reach a new audience.
I would say, you know, a lot of designers design their own clothes because they don't find in Reno what they like, and whether it's economic reasons they can't afford the clothes, so they design their own, or they have a quirkiness style that they like. I guess it is to be able to step out of the box and say, who else would like my style? And say, you know, I mean, you want to push that envelope of being different, but yet you know, you need to be able to sell to the public. So,
though this may not be the fashion mecca, I think that people are looking for fun things to wear, and they're looking for to step out of their box. So, I mean, I would say just go for it and see what you can do, because people in Reno are looking to expand, I think. Yeah.
And go 100%. I mean, you know, I mean, it's about getting your stuff out there, about, you know, doing that next step, being seen and being judged, and not being afraid about being judged.
Right.
And that's do what you love to do, and do it, and you will find, if you love it, people will gravitate toward it, and they're like it too.
There are big plans for the Designer Challenge in the future. Phil and Laura hope that the challenge will become successful enough to help push artists to their dreams.
Well, we both grew up here, and so we've seen Reno change already, and we're really excited to see how this has an effect on the arts and culture of this town. I mean, it's already a blossoming thing in Reno, and we're hoping that this just kind of adds and gives momentum to it.
Yeah, we hope it gets enough attention, so as the 1 or 2 years down the road, as it gets beyond the borders of northern Nevada, where maybe there's some companies out there that catch a blog or catch a picture of what these people are doing, and start keening interest and saying, hey, who won the Paper Moon Designer Challenge this season? Let me look at their clothes. Or even who got second place, that fits our line. Can I have their contact? And that's what I hope, is that as it gets bigger and people from the outside of Reno get a look at it, you know, we get calls from certain companies saying, hey, can I talk to so-and-so contestant? I really loved what she did in that sundress. And that would be awesome.
The Designer Challenge is well underway. The Paper Moon is headlining a local shopping fest with a fashion show at the National Automobile Museum on November 3rd with all the finalists' designs. Their Martinis at the Moon event will be held on November 9th, where the winner will be announced and all the finalists will get the ability to sell their clothes and give their fashion dreams flight.